MLS Aces Podcast. This is your host, Tom Sweezy. This is episode 327. Jason, it has been a full week of MLS soccer and some Champions Cup soccer as well. It is back into our lives, fully injected into the veins. Jason, how are you after, now a week and a half of MLS back in your life?
I'm great. I love the games. I feel like I talk about the games being my favorite part all the time. So,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an interesting opening weekend. But at the same time, like we always say, it is week one. So take what you can. I think there's stuff we can take away. Like, I think a lot of debut performances went really well for, I'm sure we'll mention a bunch of different players, but I would say debuts were like A+ level.
Debuts were chef's kiss.
There was the classic week one MLS defenses showing up, or I guess not showing up. So, we got a little bit of a mixed bag of stuff. But, yeah, I think the debuts is the biggest plus because it was like, wow, the whole league just nailed some of these signings.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 points very much out there, right? Joe Lowry put a 10-minute clip or something up on social media of all the back passes or playing out of the back that went wrong in MLS in week one. It's bad. I mean, it was
Orlando. What are you doing?
Orlando, Jordi Alba against New York City. Obviously, I had that on my screen, but it was bad in week one. Debuts, cool, and then obviously the full club debut of San Diego FC, and we're going to try to do our best of talking about all of it as much as we can here. And the 2-hour episodes are no longer going to happen.
Hey, we'll hit on as much as we can. I'm sure at some point we'll talk about your team.
Yes.
Not necessarily every podcast.
Unless necessarily your team played in the DC Toronto game, probably not. But then will.
Denkey, still doing it.
Never walk alone, Jason. Never walk alone. All right, let's move into week one and the results that are of week one. Jason, I'm going to turn it to you. You are going to kick things off for us in 2025. Give me a game, a result, a performance, whatever you want to classify that as that you want to talk about first and foremost.
So this might come as a bit of a surprise because I don't think this is necessarily the biggest result, but it is the Orlando versus Philly game because while Orlando lost 2-4, this could have been 5-4 or 6-5 game. I was
going to say the latter probably, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at expected goals for this game, Orlando, or just stats in general, Orlando had 2.49 expected goals to 1.83, which isn't a amazing stat, right? Yeah. You can't just look at that. But they had 55% possession. They had 22 shots to Philly's 11 and 8 big chances compared to Philly's 3. I think this was a little concerning for me in terms of Pedro Gallesi's performance. There was, I want to say, at least 2 goals where he for sure should have saved them. Especially he plays that ball back, another mistake in the back, which is kind of what sparked my mind when you were mentioning that, is he plays that ball and then he just stands there way off to the side of the goal. And I had to rewind 2 or 3 times to be how is he not in position? Sure, you're not expecting your defender to just give the ball away. But at the same time, get back into your goal. That's not a goal if you're moving, right?
We can start 2025 with the classic Pedro Gallese super slump to start the season because he does it every MLS season.
And it's crazy because he's a good goalie. He knows what he's doing. I think
he's Peru's national goalkeeper. He's the goalkeeper of a calm the ball international team. He's a very good goalkeeper. Yes, he's 35 or whatever, but he just starts every MLS season so bad. Yeah. It's wild to me. And
what have you been doing in the preseason, man? I just can't get over him standing there. He also got beat on that one cross that I think was just pinged near post.
Yeah.
I had to watch that again. How did that ball go in? We didn't even have enough angles to see how he missed that. And then on the other side of the field, Andre Blake is just continuing to do Andre Blake things. He literally made some incredible stops in this game.
As long as Andre Blake remains healthy, I have zero concerns about That's not a lot. That's
No, I still have
I have
concerns
plenty
for
of
sure.
concerns about the Union defense. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. I still have concerns with the Union defense, but as long as Andre Blake is healthy, I have less concerns that the Union won't pull off some miraculous win with really bad defense showing in front of them, which I'll say the Union defense, sure, they allowed 2 goals, and, Orlando's defense probably outshined on the day of how bad they
Orlando also
were.
hit the post like, I don't know, 4 times in this game.
Yeah, I mean, but Philly's defense was not good. Like, let's just also be very, very clear and honest about it. Like, Pasalic's 2 goals, again, debut performance, right?
I wasn't even gonna get to there yet, but yeah,
we got a lot. We got a lot to go over in this
Yeah.
game. This is a good game to start with. Pasalic, the new DP winger for Orlando, Croatian international. He had a brace. He had the 2 goals for Orlando. So
He looked threatening every time he had the ball.
He looked
He
like
probably could have had 3 goals, honestly. If Blake wasn't Andre Blake, he probably has 3.
I mean, pretty good confidence boost to come into a new club, new team, first official league game, and you come away with a brace. I think that's something to definitely build upon. But going back to the Union's defense, I was not overwhelmed with any type of confidence that this team will bounce back. Jakub Glesnes did not look great once again, continuing on from last year. And then the South African center back that they had next to him, I know he's been on the team for like 2 or 3 years now on a U22 deal. He looked okay, but nothing where I'm like, you're starting center back quality in Major League Soccer. So sure, the Union attack with the proven talent of Baribo and Ure and Gazdag and Quinn Sullivan and Kai Wagner getting up the field and all of that, fantastic. They looked like the parts that we know that they all can do. But there's still just
they probably got 2 goals given to them a little bit.
Sure, but you have to take
3.
advantage.
There were a couple I think, and this is like another it's week 1. It's hard to take this game. As much as there is to take away from it, like some really bad performances and some really sloppy play, and some really good play, it's kind of hard to be like the attack in a 4-2 game looks good when they have 4 goals in a game that the expected was like 1.9. And obviously, that's not perfect, but if you watch some of these goals, it's like, I feel like it's more on Orlando messing up than it is on Philly really doing some exceptional play.
That's fair. I just think you also have to give the credit to a Baribo and Ure on.
I don't want to take credit away from them. I just don't know if it's I don't know if either of these teams looked great.
No, and again, week 1, maybe it's slow. I still expect Orlando to be better on the season. I still think the Union, sure, they might do this pressing style that maybe created some of these opportunities for them. So maybe I was too harsh on Philly. It's week 1. We'll see. Orlando, I still think will find its form. Robin Janssen didn't start, even though he was slated to because of a pre-game knock. So there was that. Maybe that threw some things off. I don't know. But we will, I guess, see as the season goes on. The only other thing that I just want to mention about this game, Union homegrown right back Frankie Westfield. If we're talking debuts, yes, it's not Pasalic, but he looked very much the part at right back with Nathan Harriel out injured. He got the start over Olivier Mbaizo, and I mean, he got an assist in this one. I think he looked pretty good at right back for being a teenager getting the opportunity. So good for him. That's all I'll say. I know the Union faithful are very very excited about Frankie Westfield at right back. So I'll just have to give the love there. Anything else on this game, Jason?
No, I think we kind of covered it.
All right, let's
almost to an extent that I didn't think we'd go to.
I mean, it was a good game to cover. I'll give you that. So I'm deciding between 2 games. I'm just gonna go Atlanta United 3-2 win over CF Montreal. I mean, we're talking debuts. We're talking debut braces. Emmanuel Latte Lath, getting things going in the first half. He had the goal to send Atlanta into the half 1-0. He found a second goal later on in the game to put Atlanta up again. Atlanta's defense again letting up that lead, and then Edwin Mosquera with the game winner, which on a beautiful finish from Edwin Mosquera at the wing. But Latte Lath looks like the real deal Like, he looks like a dude who, as you predicted, Jason, could win the Golden Boot in
Yeah,
Major
hey,
League
I was
Soccer.
pretty happy with the opening day brace. I'll tell you that much.
The thing about, I'm going to focus a little bit more on Latte Lath maybe than the overall game or performance, but the thing about him is he definitely looks like a player who's coming in midseason form, which he is, obviously, right? He's coming over from half a season in the championship and whatnot. Like, he looks like a guy who's ready, who's feeling out some things, but also like who's at a different level because he's adapted pretty quickly, I'd say. I don't know. What did you see from any Latte Lath or anything in this game?
I mean, I think the Atlanta attack is sort of what we expected a little bit. Like, it's very scary.
Yeah.
When you have Miguel Almiron, who clearly, he hasn't lost a step at all. Coming back to MLS is like easy, I guess, for him.
Yeah.
Saba, Moranchuk, and Latte Lath, like, that's an attack that we're probably going to be talking about for the entire season. Just going, that they're going to put up a lot of goals. I could see this team being one of the top. I would say, like, if they're not top 5 for goals scored, I'd be like, what happened across the league? So I think they're going to continue to score, and I think Latte Lath, like, and Almiron, actually. Like, I know Almiron's been there. He gets MLS. He knows it. But, like, they fit into the team pretty well with Saba and with Moranchuk. Like, it's not like it was, hey, we need to build some chemistry. It kind of felt like it was there. And, like, that pass to Mascara, and Mascara comes in and makes a beautiful goal, game winner. Like, I don't know. I think, like you said, they're going to have these games that they're allowing some goals, but they're probably going to outscore them. And it's like, is this like last year's LA Galaxy team a little bit in some ways? And I don't know, maybe.
There's feelings of that. I do think they need to figure out things on the defensive end because they were not defensively. They let up some ugly goals in this one.
They can't let up 2 goals a game. They can't even come close to that. So
it was just like, it wasn't even like in the run of play. I think they defended poorly. I just think it was slight moments where, maybe, again, you're not thinking in the moment, one slight mistake, one little lazy pass, one lazy, you're not stepping to a defender. And Montreal, to give them credit, Montreal looked good in this game.
Yeah. Montreal led in expected goals and big chances. So
and yes, like, Atlanta's starting fullback pair was not healthy. Amador out, Brooks Lennon, obviously, I think he's going to be out for a little bit after the injury in the playoffs. But like, there was some concerns, I think, defensively for Atlanta. Again, week 1, not trying to read into it too much. Montreal, very good. Owusu, coming over from Toronto to now Montreal, like, he looked good. He looked like a dude who's an experienced player from overseas, and he came over. And I think that's what Toronto were maybe hoping in Prince Owusu. They didn't get that version of him. And week 1 for Montreal, he gets a goal and an assist, right?
It could be just like Toronto's in such a bad state.
I mean, fair. That is also. We'll talk about another former Toronto player that went off, but
I think Montreal feels very much like a team that's going to be flirting with the playoff line a little bit. And I think that's what this performance showed. Like, they're going to be competitive. They're going to be competitive. And they're probably going to beat on some crappy teams, and they're probably going to be close to some good teams. So I don't know. This is a team that I fully expect to be in the conversation at the end of the season.
I agree. Hey, look, if they made the playing game right last year. They need to now elevate past that. I think they need to secure a playoff spot, and I like to see where this Montreal path is going. But knowing Montreal, they'll have a pretty good season, make the playoffs. They'll sell Caden Clark, Jaquil Marshall-Ruddy, and every other young talent, and then we're rebuilding. But we're not going to go down that negative path in week 1. I won't go down there yet. Jason, let's move on to another game. Give me a game, a performance, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to bring up the San Jose versus RSL game because New Look San Jose is, conceding possession but winning games pretty easily here now, I guess. What is RSL trying to do, I guess, is I know we're kind of low on RSL this year. I think we were maybe a little higher than I was because of Chicho Arango loss, which is a huge hole. But like they
Mhm.
put 22 shots up and lost the big chance battle.
Can
Which
I defend RSL slightly? Because I see
please
where this
do.
conversation is
Please
going.
do. I'm trying to figure out what they want. Like,
This is maybe also for listeners' sake and for your sake, Jason, me trying to talk myself into still seriously rooting for RSL
talk
here.
me into thinking that they're even going to be on the playoff line because I saw more out of Montreal against Atlanta than this game.
That's
Like,
fair. That's fair. RSL played a midweek CONCACAF Champions Cup game going into the weekend, right? So you're going to rotate the 11, rotate the roster a little bit. Diego Luna didn't play Champions Cup midweek, so he started in this one. He's coming back from that broken nose. He's still probably getting himself, adjusted, figured out. This team does not have a striker right now. Like it's Forster Jago, and no disrespect to him, he has not looked great in the 2 RSL games that I've seen, but he is literally the only starting striker option right now for the club. The team, I think, still has the talent that once they get maybe past like the initial preseason form, and Diego Luna can, I think fully get healthy and back into fitness after what the January camp was for him for the USMNT. I think this team will be fine. I think this team will be a low end playoff team, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm also hoping maybe their new Australian striker can find form or come and play minutes at all and maybe be a different option to a Jago. But it has been ugly through 2 games so far, and now they play Champions Cup tonight, and we will talk about that, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, I think they're in the worst spot in the Champions Cup.
yeah,
So
yeah.
currently, I mean, but I don't know. I think you still are going to need Diego Luna to go up a level. Like, if they want to
Yeah,
be
for
good,
sure. Yeah.
he needs, they all probably need to go up a level, but he really needs to kind of take the reins, I think.
Him and Goncalves, for sure, I think need to be the 1 and the 2 to step up and play better. I know during the season preview, I talked about Pablo Ruiz, my guy. I love him. He's actually played maybe the best of anyone on this team through a game and a half or whatever he's played. But you need more than that. You need more than just Pablo Ruiz slotting into the 10 while Diogo Goncalves is being rotated. I don't know. I have my concerns. I'm not saying I'm sitting here saying I don't, but I
They
think
look a
there's
little
enough.
messy. Like, they don't look like they were prepared totally for
And
the
I think
losses that they had.
I think that's what I'm saying is I'm hoping it's just preseason rust. I'm hoping it's just they haven't had everything mesh yet. And, hopefully as the games go on, that will mesh. Now, not to shitty transition us away from RSL, but San Jose looks like they're meshing almost instantly, which is incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm still curious to see how San Jose plays against, one of the top teams of the conference because I think there's still questions there. And this is like a week 1. Wow, 4-0 is, incredibly impressive, no matter who you're playing against. But yeah, I'm not ready to make an opinion on San Jose at all. Like I'm gonna hold my opinions there.
Can I say this about San Jose? And it's not me making any definitive statement that I think they will be good or be bad, but I will say this, that Bruce Arena fixes teams. We've seen it multiple times, and
he demands a certain level.
He definitely does, and this is definitely a sign of that.
Yeah.
You need to beat up if you perceive, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying if the fan or Bruce or whatever perceives RSL to be a not great team right now, you need to beat up on the not great teams, and that's what they did in week 1. Obviously, Bo LaRue, the 21-year-old midfielder that they signed the day before the game or day of the game or something like that, coming out of college, he had a debut assist. He looked fantastic in the midfield. I mean, shout out to Bo LaRue. Didn't know who he was before his assist in the game.
Days ago.
Jamar Ricketts, he looked fantastic, bumping up to like a left wing back, left midfield, whatever you want to call it, spot. Christian Espinoza bouncing back to like a right midfield spot, had 2 assists.
Christian Espinoza's got to be ecstatic, dude. He's probably like, this is amazing.
Christian Espinoza's like,
so
this
much
I actually
has improved from last year.
Yeah. Obviously, I think the biggest concern for me, I think, with San Jose is like I think the Arango Josef Martinez partnership still needs to get adjusted and figured out. I think if it does, this team's scary. But even if it doesn't, I think there's other pieces. And again, the floor that Bruce Arena raises a team to, I think is dangerous alone. And Daniel is healthy, and he had 7 saves, and he looked unbelievable in that. Daniel's back. I'm here for it.
I feel like the Arango Martinez, I don't know if they need to like play with the formation or something, or like define. Maybe they just need to play more with each other, but it kind of feels weird at the moment. I would agree.
I think it's new, right? And like that's why it feels weird.
And I feel like Josef is really, even Arango, like they're pretty one striker system guys, it feels like.
I agree. And look,
or have been. I mean, I'm not saying they can't adapt. I think both of them are experienced and good enough players to figure it out. It's just like it's going to take a little bit to figure out that exact partnership and how they move together.
And that's what I'm saying is I think if it clicks, you have 2 guys who have been proven goal scorers in this league, and then you have Christian Espinoza, if he can click and adjust to maybe more of a pushed back role, and he's not asked to do too much defensively, because that's also going to be something that I think a good team will try to abuse. I think this could work 100%. It can work, but we will see. Again, not trying to get super excited, but I did like what I saw from the Quakes.
I think they're actually worth getting a little excited about, because even though it's just one result, they're at least going to be fun. Like if you're a San Jose fan and you went through that last year, you should be excited. Like it's not. I think the bar was very low, but there's a clear improvement.
I think it was a stat that I saw from Tom Bogert on one of the social media platforms. There's a million of them now. That San Jose had 2 shutouts last year. They have 1 in 2025.
Match that number in 2 weeks, maybe.
They're already doing it. So shout out San Jose. The state of California was winning all last weekend, and I'm going to stay in the state. I'm going to go Southern California.
Except for one of those teams.
I mean, sure, whatever. There's 4 teams. 2 of them were playing each other. Someone had to lose, I guess. But San Diego FC debut game for the organization. Game on the road against the defending champs. Debut in MLS for a lot of these guys. Obviously, all of these guys official club debuts. But San Diego getting a 2-0 win on the road. I mean, Andres Dreyer, brace, Chucky Lozano with an assist. Like,
this is dominant 2-0 win against the Galaxy. Like,
this is what you want to see, though, right? Like, if you're a San Diego fan, like, this is how you want to kick open the door to Major League Soccer and be like, hey, we're here.
Yeah, I would say overall, like, I'll go to San Diego first.
We'll talk Galaxy after.
I like their counterattack. I really think, like, the way Dreyer gets up the field, the way Ingvartsen's been, and Lozano, obviously, like, all these guys are flying up the field. They're getting the turnover and they're looking to run, which I think is a good like blueprint for a new team. They can kind of just catch you a little bit. But like everyone played well on this team versus like everyone played pretty horrible on the Galaxy. Like it's kind of hard to. This is one where it's like, yeah, amazing. I love watching debuts for teams. Like I think it's cool. It's kind of like a historic moment. They get their first win against the defending MLS Cup champions. But at the same time, it's like, did anyone on the Galaxy play well? Like, even decent? Not really.
Okay.
They didn't really.
You're just shitting on the San Diego parade right now.
I am not at all. I'm very happy with San Diego. I think they're going to be like this every game. They're going to be someone that you can't just fall asleep on. But this is the defending champs that
yes no and that's fair
at all.
The thing about San Diego that I think we're gonna see the roller coaster ride of in 2025, and I'm not the first person to say it. It's been said on Soccer Wise. It's been said on the MLS season pass shows. Matt Doyle has wrote about it, and everyone is saying it because it's true. San Diego is going to play their style. It is going to burn them against some teams. And they are not going to adjust. It is their style. They want to play this way. They want to win this way. I think week one, you maybe catch a Galaxy team by surprise. You maybe catch a Galaxy team that has heavily rotated.
How does this keep happening with new teams too? Like
Yeah, I mean, 100%. But I think that is what won San Diego this game, but it's also going to be the thing that'll probably hurt them at certain games and certain points in 2025. But Andres Dreyer, I mean, again, if you're going to come into a league, a team, if I'm going to say the same thing as I said about Pasalic as about Dreyer right now, a brace is not a bad way to do it. Chucky Lozano looked pretty good on the other wing. I think he can still probably hit another level, but I liked what I saw from him. Luca De La Torre looked very good in the central midfield. Patty McNair I liked a lot at center back. I think it's fair, Jason, to then roll into the point of no one on the LA Galaxy really looked
showed up
like they were playing together. Like
what happened to the 2024 Galaxy?
It felt like this team was still hungover from the celebration, and half these guys weren't even the ones celebrating. Like, like it was. It
felt like how big of an impact is the loss of essentially 70% of your midfield, right? Like with Puig hurt and with Delgado across town now.
Yeah, and Paintsel hurt right now as
Royce
well.
Is now starting the game. You also lost your number 9. Like whether injuries or transfers, lost some of their biggest pieces, or like at least pieces that really worked well together. And I think that's a bigger thing for the Galaxy, is just stay above water, stay in that playoff hunt, and hope to get Puig back, because when that comes back, he's like that guy who could just tape over all your.
Well, they have to completely play a different way when Puig comes back, which I think is the way that they relied on in 2024, which is the way that they won MLS Cup for the most part.
The way they want to play, which they can't do. So,
and I think like you have to tactically shift the entire team. And yes, there's still injuries, there's whatever, but I think that is the thing that this game showed to me, was that like this team was not on the same tactical page. It felt like
Greg Vanney needs to kind of review and try and figure something out.
For sure.
If it's going to be even similar to this for 3, 4, 5 weeks, even longer, they're going to be in a huge hole.
I think they need to tactically shift around a lot, to be honest. It looked like Gabriel Peck was trying to play, with Puig still out there. Marco Royce looked frustrated. Christian Ramirez did not look like he was in sync with anyone else on the rest of the attack.
How often did he even get on the ball that much?
And I mean, I'll even say, right, the decision to start Novak Nikovic in net over John McCarthy. I mean, Nikovic is a big reason why one of those goals was let up, right? Again, playing out of the back, passing it to Garces, and Garces completely couldn't handle the ball because it was a really weird ball from Nikovic, right? Like if you're making the decision to go with the younger goalkeeper that had some, contract issues last year, and he requested a transfer, and now you're starting him in 2024 over a veteran and John McCarthy, who's won the last 2 MLS Cups or whatever the fuck it was in net, which is incredible. Then you have to deal with the consequences that's going to come of that. And he played a bad pass and allowed an early goal, and San Diego got right into the game. The only player that I want to defend, Jason, in this game is Elijah Winder. I think Elijah Winder, coming off in his MLS debut, subbing on in the second half, he looked like an MLS player. Like, he looked like a dude that if you told me you needed to tactically shift around this team, which they do, and you need to start him, which I think they probably could.
Young player of the year? What?
Maybe. I liked Elijah Winder's debut a lot. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I like that. Good shout.
All right. Jason, you are up, and unless you have nothing else you want to say about this game, you're up with another performance.
I am going to move. I think I kind of want to talk about this game, but more for a player's performance, and that's Jeremy Ebobisse in LAFC. Because it's interesting to me because they struggled a little bit with Giroud for a while. Ebobisse obviously gets to start in this game, gets the game-winning goal, which is a really nice goal.
Yeah.
I think he plays the full 90 too.
Yeah.
And that is very sort of telling to me. I think obviously Giroud and Ebobisse, it's not like a like-for-like striker if you make that sub anyways. Giroud, that's a decade of age. That's a very different style. I think Abobasi likes to maybe run at teams a little bit more. Giroud might be a little bit more of a hold up, kind of back to the goal kind of player. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I think what Abobasi's been able to do is kind of unlocked a little bit for this team in terms of they can use him in their counterattack a little bit. I mean, I think we all know Bouanga loves running, right? Like he's one of those guys that the ball's turned over, you look up the field and he's gone. Like Abobasi's a little bit similar, and I think it bodes well for them long term, but I'm curious how that's going to kind of continue to play out at that striker spot for LAFC across the season. Because I mean, also this is a good Minnesota team, and this is a really good win for LAFC with Abobasi playing a full 90 minutes.
Well, the only thing I'm going to quickly say about Minnesota, because I think this is a good Minnesota team, that's fair. I think they had some opportunities that just didn't convert. Yeah. They looked a little slow. Again, week one. I'm not gonna shit on things.
This is not like they did bad. It's more of my opinion on how Abobasi actually really makes LAFC more threatening.
This was a game that I feel like would have finished a 0-0 draw or whatever, a draw. That you have the quality of Jeremy Abobasi, who's now a rotational starter right now in LAFC, who he still has the quality to win you a game, and he did that in this game, and he did that in this opportunity. Yeah, Olivier Giroud, I mean, we can say it every single week until the guy starts to score goals or have 100 assists, right? Because he's just going to put his back to goal and assist everyone else. He has struggled in LAFC. He has not adapted to the MLS game. He has not adapted at all. You know, he's now played 3 games this season, if you count Champions Cup and MLS, and he's not looked good. I'm not even going to say okay. He has not looked good in any of them. Jeremy Abobasi is the striker right now with a goal on your roster. And I'm assuming LAFC is going to rotate again. They just, advanced in Champions Cup during the midweek action. So I'm going to assume they're going to rotate again. It wasn't a
clean advance either.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's this LAFC team. The difference for me is this is a very talented team that even if things aren't figured out with personnel, who's starting, who's not, whatever it may be, I think this talent alone pushes them through in a lot of games and a lot of competitions. But I think if they want to win those competitions and they want to win those games, you need to figure out Giroud and Abobasi. You need to figure out, who is going to be that starting center back duo and everything like that. So I have my concerns about LAFC, but this is still no doubt a talented team that is gonna figure it out or hopefully figure it out if they want to win trophies. And I don't know. I don't know if I answered anything in your question.
I don't even know if I asked a question. I just think it's going to be interesting in what games who starts at the striker at the number 9, because I think they can't play the same way depending on who starts. And also, depending on how the game's going, you might want a switch. You might want Giroud in there to hold it up a little bit. You might want Abobasi in there to run at tired legs. I don't know. Yeah. I just think there's a lot. It's almost a good thing that they can play almost 2 different ways. But obviously with Giroud not performing to levels of the expectation of a player of his caliber, it's makes it a little bit harder to trust that when he's in, they're going to be winning. I guess that's a coach thing. Steve Cherundolo kind of has to figure that out.
I'm also going to say it's maybe an organizational thing, right? Like Olivier Giroud isn't just some random player that, that is on the roster that's performing well. I think there's an expectation that your best 11 has Olivier Giroud as your striker, right?
I think the expectations for sure Giroud's starting. I don't think, but this team last season, and this isn't anything against Kai Kamara because I absolutely love Kai Kamara, but this is totally different now that they have Abobasi instead of Kai Kamara.
Yeah, I think Kai Kamara is Abobasi is an upgrade from Kamara as the backup 9 on this roster for sure. I think Abobasi is a starting 9 on a lot of MLS rosters right now. I think we talked about RSL before, right? Abobasi maybe changes the outlook of RSL. Like it's incredible. But now it's LAFC with what we're going to perceive as of right now of two starting quality strikers that they can rotate for Champions Cup and then MLS and then Champions Cup and MLS and then Leagues Cup and MLS. Like they're going
to need their players. But.
Exactly. So they're going to need them. But I mean, like it's going to be an interesting tale if Olivier Giroud continues to struggle as the season goes on. Because if he does, then I think there's a larger conversation that LAFC probably need to have.
Yeah, you're spending DP money on a bench player at that point.
I mean, or I don't even care if it's a bench player. DP money on a dude who's not doing what
not playable, not even playable in 30 minutes.
Right? Like who just disappears at the 9. So
I don't know. They'll go get his friend Griezmann and he'll start
and then they'll start pairing up well.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. Can we move on to another game? I am going to go Vancouver Whitecaps, Portland Timbers. The main reason
why literally nothing to say about half of this game.
The main reason why I'm going to this game is, I mean, look, Portland looked fucking awful. An early red card from Kamal Miller. People can argue, was it a red? Was it not? Ultimately, it's still a foul, and Kamal Miller got the red for dog so, and Portland was just playing on the back foot from the jump, and Providence Park was bouncing, so I do kind of feel bad about that. And then obviously once the red card hits, like it's bad. You heard fans like yelling behind like the camera and stuff, like it was not good. But the main reason why I'm bringing up this game, and I told you before when we were talking about previous Toronto FC players that are now exceeding elsewhere in Prince Owusu, Jayden Nelson, former TFC attacker that got sold to Rosenborg in Europe, and then I think he had a little bit of a loan stint in the 2 Bundesliga, comes back to MLS this year, signed in this new Whitecaps front office, coaching, everything like that. Jayden Nelson with a goal and 3 assists. Jason, do you know that is more goal contributions that he has for the Whitecaps than he did in like 20-something games for Toronto FC? That's a fun fact for you.
I don't know if that's fun for some people.
It's not fun for TFC fans. It's fun for Vancouver fans. But Jayden Nelson absolutely went off. Again, I'm gonna throw the overall, I think, filter of it was a 10-man a 10-man Portland Timbers side.
A team that's already like we weren't that high on with 11 people. So
yeah, right. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, Jayden Nelson looks like he has returned to MLS in a different form with more experience. Obviously, he has that European experience now. He's still only 22 years old. He is fast as fuck, and I mean he absolutely was lethal, and he finished, and I think it was setting up everyone else around him. If you told me that Jayden Nelson was one of the starting wingers on this team, you have Ali Ahmed in the mix and Ryan Gauld in the mix, and then Brian White just signed a new contract extension, and Pedro Vite is playing.
Pedro Vite with a beauty.
Pedro Vite needed to elevate his game in 2025, and so far
he was my what was it, like, player to look forward to? I don't remember what we called that.
Yes, but whatever he was for you, I don't remember, I'll be honest. But Pedro Vite needed to elevate his game this year. He did through week 1 so far. I don't know. I very much like what I saw from this Whitecaps team, and especially Jayden Nelson. Yeah. All with the context of it was a 10-man Timber side for a majority of the game. So just
but also the confidence that you get, especially like a young player like Nelson, like the confidence that would give you in week 1, the confidence that would give your coach and Jesper Sorensen, the confidence that Brian White, Ryan Gauld, Pedro Vite, the whole team, like that's huge, especially in week 1. And those are the things like, sure, week 1 has performances that maybe are not necessarily the norm across the whole season. Obviously, I don't expect Jayden Nelson to get 4 goal contributions a game. That would be actually insane. But it's one of those things that you look to as like, how can they build, right? And whether he's getting 0 next game or 1, it's still like it brings a level of the team up, because then they can look over there, oh, he's on the ball. I expect, you get like a good working relationship quicker if
I'll
you're
say
confident in your peers.
I'll say it's also a level that they didn't even have last year. Like Stuart
Yeah.
Armstrong was a really good, really good DP player. If Jayden Nelson's coming in and he's putting up, let's say, Stuart Armstrong numbers on a non-DP deal, like this is how clubs elevate. You find ways where you can bring in guys and guys who are maybe, the Europe thing didn't work out or they gain that experience. They want to come back because World Cup is going to be here in North America in 2026. Maybe Jayden Nelson sees playing for the Whitecaps as a easier way to the Canadian men's national team roster, and boom, you have an explosion
He's
of
like right
Jayden.
on his way there right now.
I mean, literally, right? So I that's just, I want to give the Whitecaps a bunch of credit because we haven't this offseason because of the mess going on with their front office and the organization and stuff. I think Jayden Nelson was a very smart signing to bring in. They obviously have like Emmanuel Sabi figuring out his visa stuff, and you still have a bunch of other guys there. And, by the way, you're in Champions Cup and you're down 2-1 on an aggregate to Saprissa. Hopefully they can bounce back and make it to the next round. But this is a team that I'm liking what I'm seeing so far early on in 2025. Jason, next game performance, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to my team, the Fire.
That's it. Just do it.
I just want to talk about it because there was some really good and also some just unbelievably bad in this game. Honestly, probably some of the goals that were allowed. I guess I'll start with the bad because it's better to start with the bad. But some of the goals allowed in this game were just actually ridiculous. Like the Tehran own goal should never be happening. Some of the breakdowns in the defense should never be happening. Chris Brady stops probably some of these shots that are just easily going by. I don't know what's going on there. Week one, whatever. Like, I think there's things that Greg will be these are things Greg will fix and definitely fixable issues, which is mainly in some ways communication, and maybe that's because you have Jack Elliott in there who is obviously a big voice, a very experienced guy. Tehran is pretty experienced at this point. Like, I don't expect him to make some of these glaring mistakes. Even Gutman and Jonathan Dean, I think both of them made some mistakes that I wasn't expecting. And obviously, like, the Columbus Crew are a good team. So I'm not taking away a bad result here as like this horrible thing because of what was good, which was Jonathan Bamba for $2 million might be the biggest steal in all of MLS history at this point. Like, like, knock on wood, but like he looks incredible. He's totally helped, Gutierrez and Kuipers even. And Kuipers coming off an injury who basically I don't think he played a minute in preseason, starts this game, plays 45. That's another thing. Like, when he gets a little bit healthier, I think he makes some of these little turns and shots that he was kind of not a little rusty on. But I think it's Bamba is the guy. Bamba's the one where it's like, how much can he continue to impact? Because literally every time he got the ball, there was something happening, something threatening, whether that was a pass, a shot, a run down the wing. Like, that is really exciting, I think, for me, because everyone knows how the Shaqiri experience went. It seemed like he didn't care at all from day one, and he didn't try. Bamba's the complete opposite. Like, he 1,000%, you can kind of tell he's all in. Like, he really cares. He was really trying out there, and he was getting pissed off at some of these guys, which I like to see in week one. I mean, hopefully it's not like a major issue.
I don't want to see you pissed off every week, but come on.
Yeah, I would love for him to be super excited, but like, he was literally doing everything. He kind of put the team on his back in certain scenarios. And so, yeah. Also, I'm a little pissed off that Gutierrez is now suspended for the home opener when VAR reviewed that foul and only gave him a yellow, and he stayed on the field. So, like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we reviewing it again? That's bullshit. Like, honestly, MLS, you fucked up. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. You're going to suspend Gutierrez for the home opener? Get out of here. You fucked up.
I know what I'm clipping for social media from this episode.
No.
I'm going to leave this. I'll leave it short and simple on the Fire side, I think, because that's your team. I think you hit it well. I think there was a bunch of individual mistakes. I wouldn't even say it's complete team or Greg like tactical mistakes. I think like
it's communication mistakes in some
the
ways.
the Sergio Origel back pass was awful. Like, not to shit on a kid. He's he's a very young player. He'll learn, but like that was not a good ball. Zinkernackle was bad. I think he had like that one big individual mistake. Carlos Terán wasn't great. This just seemed again like. I still believe and trust Greg that the team will figure it out defensively because Greg's teams are always very good defensively. This just seemed like a bunch of very silly mistakes that put you guys in a hole against a really good Columbus
team. We took the lead twice. Like,
bro, I mean, Jonathan Bamba.
Anything.
How many times did I texted you or told you on this podcast that Jonathan Bamba is best 11 quality, and I think he could be a best 11 player in 2025. I think it's a pretty good start to a season if we're talking debuts, right? 2 assists, and then Brian Gutierrez, the beneficiary of both of those. I just think if this wasn't Columbus, you guys probably maybe still would have picked up a draw or a win. Yeah. It's just unfortunate for you guys.
And in Columbus, a little bit tougher. So.
Yeah, in Columbus, Wilfried Nancy, who I think someone noted this online, and apologies to them. Someone noted that Wilfried Nancy doesn't always shift up his tactics often because he likes to play his way, a la what we were talking about with San Diego before. Wilfried Nancy had to shift up his tactics in this game, and maybe that's something that Greg Berhalter also brings, is a different style or something else that kind of changes things up. Now, maybe next time these two guys face off, Nance has a little bit of a better understanding, and he's playing his ball still. But
hey, I mean, I hope the next time that happens, our team is just a little bit stronger, like a little bit more on the same page.
Yeah.
There were moments where it's like, what are you doing? Like, that own goal is just insane. Yeah, it should never happen in a million years.
I agree. Just have to give the love. Diego Rossi, 2 goals. Jason Russell-Rowe, our guy we talked about on the Eastern Conference preview, he had a goal. Morera getting up the field from the center back spot. Love to see it because they went to a back 4 in this game, which still kind of grossed me out from a Wilfried Nancy team. I don't like it, but they won.
I mean, he caused havoc.
I mean, when doesn't he? It's literally
like when he came onto the field, it was like, oh, we are done. Like, we are so done. Gutman just could not track at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's it's what the Columbus Crew do, bro. They make it very difficult.
I mean, at the end of the day, like as much as Cucho's gone hurts the Crew, it's not. They're still so good around.
It's not like Diego Rossi isn't the best player on another 80% of MLS rosters, or it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's still so much talent on that team that I think it's easy to be like, oh, Cucho's gone. Like, what are we going to do? Oh, wait, this team is still.
Yeah, it's not like, talented. Oh, Chicho Arango's gone. Ooh, what's going on here? It's more like, oh, Cucho's gone. How are they going to still be amazing?
literally, right? I'm going to go to my team since you went to your team, and we're going to talk about Inter Miami 2, NYCFC 2, and that damn Lionel Messi, man. I was super excited for a good chunk of this game. Look, I'm going to leave it as Inter Miami was the better team in this game from start to finish. I will say that. A Toto Aviles red card early on after Aviles gets his goal off a Messi assist, right? Like, that was just bad defending from New York City, and it was totally deserved of a goal. The red card, Aviles being Toto Aviles, classic him, gives New York City an opportunity to get back into this game on the road, and you take advantage. Mitja Elenic with the fucking celebration in Miami. Love it, by the way. Love it. I'm not a Ronaldo guy, but I love the fucking shit. The shit, whatever, throwing shit at the MLS, at the Miami fans and at Messi. And then him coming out with a post-game statement of hitting the Ronaldo celebration in Messi's face made me feel really good. Love that. I love the energy, kid. Keep it going. This is what I want to see. But he gets the goal. He gets to do the celebration. Alonso Martinez taking advantage of a really bad back pass from Jordi Alba. Again, the theme of MLS Week 1, really bad, playing it out of the back. But Martinez gets his goal early. I liked seeing 17-year-old Johnny Shore getting 45 minutes in this game. I mean, Johnny Shore is a kid who has a very good reputation in the New York City Academy. He's played very well for NYCFC too. letting him get the opportunity to debut down in Miami, week 1 MLS, like I love that. And I think he looks pretty good in the midfield as well, kind of holding his own as well. I liked what I saw from New York City, but it is not with any doubt in my mind that Miami was the better team. Messi absolutely turning it on, down a man in stoppage time. Yes, 11 minutes might have been bullshit, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, but you cannot turn off when Messi is on the ball. And then when he makes that pass, you still can't turn off. And then when you're turning your head and he's running by you, you turned off. And that's what happened. And Messi had the assist to Segovia, and Miami pull off a late goal, and it's a draw. And New York City probably by the end of 2025 will be happy with a point on the road in Miami, but that should have been 3 points ultimately. And that's the thing that I think separates you from a really good team, from a playoff team, from a bad team, is New York City. If they want to be a really good team, they need to take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I think the red card here is the biggest thing, right? Like the fact that, and it's not to take anything away from New York City, because like we've seen Messi just impacting games already this season like crazy. Champions Cup, goal, assist, 2 assists here. Every game he's going to basically put up something. Like they're basically already up a goal going into the game. That's just simply what Messi's ability is, like what we're seeing. I think it is, I don't know if I would say concerning, but like, yeah, it sucks that New York City didn't get the 3 points, because it's like it could be a crucial 3 points at the end of the season. And yeah, like up 10 up a man for essentially like, I don't know what, like 75% of this game.
Most
it's just like kind of a bummer. Like it's one of those things that you hope to see the stats not all in Miami's favor. Like how does Miami have 59% possession in a game they have one less person? It just shouldn't. I don't feel like it should be that way. And I think that's a rough thing. But at the end of the day, like if Messi's on the field, it's not 10 versus 11 anymore, right? No. It's not really 10 versus 11. So
it's still 11.
It's really hard, and I don't think Miami played exceptionally well, right? They needed that late goal. They needed that 11 minutes of extra time, which is not great, but at the same time, you're down a man, so they're going to look – I think both sides are going to look at this game and be like, wow, thank God we got a point.
I agree.
Although maybe New York City's looking at it going, it was right there for the taking, and a little bit more bummed out about it. But, yeah, I mean, Miami also could have definitely also gotten 3 points in this game based on how they were playing.
The last thing that I'll say about, I guess, maybe more of the New York City
Either
side.
They're both excited with the draw, or they're both pissed off with the draw. I don't even know.
I think it feels more like they're both pissed off with the draw. But Pascal Jansen's comments after the game, like, I will just say, I don't always, like, I'm not the biggest guy on listening to, like, MLS coaches post-game interviews and stuff like that. I don't really like post-game interviews in any sport. I have tuned into every Pascal Jansen, like, interview that I've seen. I've listened in, no matter who the NYCFC person is covering it. I've read articles with his comments, because I love the way this man speaks. He is so motivational, makes me want to run through a wall. And like, he was pissed off about this, but he also said like there was a lot to take from it and so much to move forward with. And I agree. I think, again, it was 11v10 technically man-wise for a large chunk of this game, but I think there was a lot of positives and differences that I saw from New York City in this game compared to what I saw from a lot of last year. So that is what I will say. Miami's going to Miami. They're on to the round of 16 in Champions Cup, and they have to go play Cavalier, the champions of the Caribbean. And I will just say, I think I saw the game in Kingston next week is sold out, and they are probably going to be seeing a Messi show. So that is where I'll leave that. Jason, anything else? There's obviously more games we didn't cover.
There's so many. Like the Seattle-Charlotte game is maybe one of the most competitive games.
There's 15 games a weekend. We can't cover 15 games in an hour. Like,
quick shout out to Kevin Denkey, another good debut performance. I think that's only going to get better.
2 goals in 2 games for them. Champions Cup goal, MLS goal.
Yeah, and in the MLS, like against the Rebels, like that's nothing to be not proud of. I don't. That's something to be proud of.
Yes, you nailed that. Yes.
Yeah.
Evander also looking like a really good partner for Kevin.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think that game kind of just proved everyone right about Cincinnati. Like the expectations are there again. The quality is not gone. You know, I don't think anyone thought it was like gone, but with Lucho leaving, you know, what was it going to look like? And it looked pretty dang good. So
Can I also throw out one more player for Cincinnati that I want to give slight love to? I said it on social media, and Cincinnati fans like were telling me like, you know, good job in calling him out. Lucas Engel, their new left wing back, the dude's a monster. Like this
team doesn't need better players, man. Stop
it's just like if Engel is your starting left wing back, and you can once Orejano gets fully acclimated into the team, which it looks like he will. And you can push him into like a starting attacking spot alongside Evander and Kevin Denkey. And then you have Engel and Yedlin going up and down the wings. Like Cincinnati, I'm in love with Cincinnati right now. They're my number one.
Cincinnati is one of those teams that like if you're trying to just throw a game on, they're one of the teams that I would probably have at the top of my list to just put.
I'm going to watch them tonight in Champions Cup, and they're already up 4-1 on an aggregate.
They're going to be an exciting team to watch. They're not. I think this is a season for Cincinnati here. I think there's a trophy to be had. This is the season 100. For them to take it. So it's exciting.
Anything else in this game?
In that game, no, but I do have another game.
Keep it going. I'm here for it. Keep it going, Jason.
I really liked the start of the season for Petar Musa, a goal and an assist for Dallas. I think Lucho coming in, Musa kind of being there. Again, this is against a decent Houston team. I don't know. I think Dallas and Houston are somewhat similar levels in terms of, I don't know, where they might finish. Maybe Lucho elevates FC Dallas a little bit more.
I'll just say, I think Houston, they announced the departure of Mikael to Palmeiras the day of the game.
Which is a huge loss.
Mikael is like best 11 type center back, is defensive player of the year type center back. Obviously, he's a young Brazilian center back going to a Brazilian giant. It makes sense. And I'm sure
Jack McGlynn, Young Player of the Year, is looking decent. He had a nice performance.
I liked what Jack McGlynn did in this game. Did he go down super? I don't know if you saw where he went down super soft and he was like looking for a penalty or a foul. Like that's a bad look. But Jack
Honestly,
McGlynn,
I don't care. Everybody does it.
Jack McGlynn, I think, was the best player for Houston in this game. So I will say that. But I agree. I think
the Bossi and Ponce, there's something there. There's something there.
Ponce, I'm really starting to lose faith in as a record record signing.
Well, in that term, the expectations are high. You know, it's like a Giroud on the bench as your DP.
Yeah, well, if you are that, and especially if you're holding a DP spot, you got to produce. And Ezequiel Ponce hasn't done that in, he's had half a season. Okay, you're starting your first full season. Like you got to start looking like the part, and I don't think he has. But
I do want to see this Dallas team in the playoffs. I want to see it.
Okay. Well, I think Dallas was good. I think Lucho still looked a little slow and like he was acclimating to a new club, which is fair.
I mean, it's been like what, a week?
Literally 2 weeks maybe. So I'm going to say that's fair. I think if Lucho's hitting MVP levels, if Petar Musa is going to do what he did last year, Anderson Julio looked really good. Obviously, he had the goal, but I think he looked like he fit the part almost for this Dallas team. Do I still have my concerns about their center backs and their defense? Yes, I do. But we're going to stay with the positive for weeks ones. Dallas got a big win on the road. Eric Quill's first win as manager. And, boom, here we are, right? 3 points.
Yeah.
Any other game that you want to jump to or player or anything you want to give a shout out to, Jason?
I think my last thing, I'm just keeping on going.
I mean, I have someone I could mention, or maybe not a specific player. I just want to quickly say Nashville SC's defense, like they went with the back five. I just liked what they looked like. I don't know. I don't have this whole grand statement to make about it. I think
same thing I was going to say with Colorado. I was pretty impressed with them. I was pretty impressed with Awazim getting, obviously starter minutes now. I think he's one that to look at as like expanded role defensive player coming into this Colorado team that kind of needs a little bit more boost. So I think that game itself was obviously a defensive matchup. I think we kind of understood that with St. Louis, but I think Colorado impressed me a little bit with their defensive changes.
I'll just say for Colorado, Chris Armas, I don't like Cole Bassett out on the wing. I know you brought Josh Atencio in. I know Oliver Larraz has looked really good. I just don't. I think Cole Bassett is so good, more centrally focused on an 11.
Do they have too many centrally focused players though? Like you also have Mihalovic. You also have Atencio.
I would rather see Georgie bump out wide and Bassett into 10 if we're gonna do that. But
I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm just thinking like they kind of went too far in on their central midfielders.
Yeah.
I would have preferred them to just get a winger.
Well, they got Ted DiPietro. Once he's back, Teddy KDP is gonna, come
One
out
of these
here.
guys is going to the bench. Like,
the only thing that I would just feel like we should quickly mention is the Seattle-Charlotte game. It was the final game of Saturday night, 2-2 draw technically, but Seattle was the better team by and far. Jordan Morris had the 2 goals.
Shots to 7.
Like
that's crazy.
Dean Smith even came out and said, "We're lucky we got a point." Like he was like, "We played like dog shit."
The Charlotte, like they're gonna be in games because of a strong defense, and it's not even like they played that well. It's just,
I was gonna say they did not play well.
Yeah, but these players are experienced. Christian Kalina is gonna buy you maybe a goal a game. Like,
yeah, no, I agree, and I think they were gifted that. Well, not they weren't. They were 100% gifted that last own goal that got them the point on the road. So there's that. I want to see more from Charlotte in week 2. Obviously, Wilfred Zaha potentially will be there in week 2, so that's big. Congratulations to him. I think he had a kid or something, and that's why he wasn't there in week 1. So congratulations on the baby Zaha. But there's holes in Charlotte that I was not a fan of watching in week 1, and I had higher expectations.
This is one where it's like I'm not that worried about Charlotte.
I agree.
Because
I think they'll figure it out.
Seattle, who I think many people, including us, think is the best in the Western Conference, or at least near that, and potential MLS Cup contender Seattle Sounders. So it's not like I'm potentially taking a 2-2 draw here as like kind of a good thing for Charlotte. Like, they're going to see this team maybe one more time. I don't know, unless it's like in a trophy, right?
I think especially you're away, you're traveling across the country week 1. You don't have your new star DP that you brought in. Like it's
to help your attack, which I think was one of the things kind of lacking from.
I think they should be very happy they got a point, and it was a gifted point, but they should be very happy about it. Is where I'll leave.
Hey, it doesn't matter how you get it towards the end of the season. So.
Exactly right. You just look back and you're like, oh, that was a result. That was a result.
The Seattle team is going to be scary.
Yeah, Seattle. I'm not. This was a rotated attack, and they still put up 2 goals. And Jordan Morris looked fantastic. Mm-hmm. Jason, give me your game of week 2 that you're looking forward to.
We forgot to do this last.
Jason's picks. I know. Well, because we were previewing stuff last week, so that's okay. But if you want a little time to dig, I will just kind of give a quick Champions Cup update of Miami and LAFC moving on. Miami took down SKC 4-1 on an aggregate. LAFC tied Rapids 2-2 on an aggregate, but advanced on away goals. We are recording the day of Cincinnati, RSL, and the Sounders games, assuming Cincinnati and Sounders will move through. RSL, they're playing Herediano. They're at home, but it is a 0-0 aggregate right now. 1 goal from Herediano early could really mess things up for RSL, so they are on upset alert. And then tomorrow for us, which is day of drop for the podcast, Vancouver Whitecaps hosting Saprissa. Whitecaps are down 2-1 on their aggregate. So they could also be on upset alert because, Saprissa, they are no slouches in CONCACAF. Jason, did I buy you enough time?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Also, shout out to MLS because it feels like week 2 has a little bit more staggered games. I really don't love when it's like 8 games starting at 7:30, but
the multi 17 games on at once is really kind of hard to pay attention.
But here we have a 1:15, 3:30, 6:30 has 4. 7:30 has 3.
Oh,
8:30 has
you are Central Time, sir, and you threw me
Oh,
off with those times
yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
my bad.
Sorry.
Yeah, Central Time. That was what I was saying. So if you're not in Central, whoops.
Yeah, all good.
Anyways, my game of the week, which is on its own, is I have two, one for each day. First Saturday, Charlotte versus Atlanta. I'm expecting big things in that game. I also think Charlotte with a crazy gauntlet to start the season of 2 weeks here. Yeah, I want to see how these teams play each other because they are obviously in the same conference.
Zaha versus Latte Lath. I'm here for it. Okay.
I also want to see if Latte Lath can replicate a nice performance here. Get me some more goals.
It's a hat trick or nothing, Latte Lath. Thank God.
How do you outdo yourself? And then Sunday at is at 5 Eastern time. Man, time zones. Ugh.
The Whitecaps Galaxy
Yeah,
game. What you're going for?
Whitecaps versus Galaxy.
5.
Can the Galaxy improve on a not amazing start and actually a pretty horrible start? And can the Whitecaps continue?
Yeah. Can Jayden Nelson continue is what I'm looking for.
I mean, I think this is a Whitecaps team that we could look at going, wow, they're flying to start the season. And a little bit of concern with the Galaxy, depending on how they finish this game.
I agree with you. The only thing that I want to say, and then we'll end the episode here, a lot of good stuff I'm seeing from the Apple broadcast, the Sunday night football broadcast last week with San Diego and the Galaxy was really fun. Excited to see what they do week 2 with Houston versus Miami. And then what's the series that they put out? The
documentary thing?
Yeah, so I'm only 2 episodes in.
I haven't even started. I really need to start it.
I will say I'm 2 episodes in. First episode was kind of just like a messy episode, which I expect. That's fine. It was really good. And then episode 2 is Hell is Real, and that I really like that. Pat Noonan is maybe my favorite head coach in MLS because of that episode specifically. But I really like that series a lot. I think it's called Onside. Yeah, Onside. So watch that if you have an Apple TV subscription, because that's I think a nice fun look into what Apple's doing with MLS and what we can hopefully see more of over the I think the span of the next 8.5 years that we got with Apple and MLS. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Jason, we will be back for week 2. Thank you guys. Enjoy another week of MLS, and we will be here every single week covering it.